There is mourning in the swamps. Another elite propagandist has simply died and is unlikely to go to heaven having cracked his last joke for his owner in an instant, former KVN host Alexander Maslyakov.
It's never easy to say goodbye. So, it is goodbye for now.
Maslyakov will be remembered not merely as the smiling host of a youth comedy show, but as a truly bloodthirsty ghoul who whitewashed the Kremlin's crimes and actively promoted war.
Just listen to feedback the entire peninsula.
All right, that's enough.
There's a saying, KVN just isn't what it used to be. But it only became that way after Maslyakov took it over. The security services had long been drooling over the most popular entertainment project in the former USSR. And Maslyakov, or as KVN participants call him, the Master, gladly submitted to Putin. Of course, not for free.
And of course, Vladimir Vladimirovich, a huge, sincere thank you for your valuable attention and continued support of this movement. Thank you.
There is a mistaken stereotype that Maslyakov invented KVN. That's not true. The Club of the Funny and Inventive was created in 1961 by Sergei Muratov, Albert Axelrod, and Mikhail Yakovlev. They were inspired by the Czechoslovak program Guess, Guess, Guesser, and initially created a similar Soviet show called Evening of Funny Questions. Yes, KVN started with a warm-up.
44 years ago was actually the very first KVN. What was the first joke?
We don't know, it was cut out.
At first, it wasn't the Club of the Funny and Inventive. The new youth project was named after the television brand KVN 49.
First and foremost, they needed performers who were skilled at combating fun and good moods, and a depressing atmosphere. After reviewing applications from a huge number of people, they managed to assemble a special group, which included a tram inspector, a dentist, 2 literary critics, and the head of a housing maintenance office. Boredom was extracted using chemical methods.
Maslyakov became the host of KVN only 3 years later, in 1964. More precisely, as a co-host.
Well, that's great. We can say that the first introduction has taken place.
Maslyakov worked as the host of KVN until it was shut down in 1972. Why was KVN shut down? Because the Soviet Union was a totalitarian country where you couldn't joke about the fact that it was a totalitarian country.
There are a lot of significant problems. We will not stay silent.
Unfortunately, our time is just about up.
It's always like that.
Jokes about Soviet reality amused everyone except the KGB. KVN was immediately subjected to strict censorship. It got to the point where you couldn't go on stage with a beard. That was considered mocking Karl Marx.
That's just utterly and completely disgraceful.
Makes you want to sing, I don't know another country where they strangle a person so freely. KVN was shut down for free thinking and criticizing the regime. The reason for the show's closure was a performance by the team from Odessa. Its members grew long hair and mustaches, and at that time, that was forbidden on television.
What the H?
Another significant reason for the ban was the presence of Jews. Many of the teams playing in KVN had a lot of Jewish participants. In the USSR, to put it mildly, that was not encouraged. Anti-Semitism in the country that defeated fascism existed at the state level. Soviet television actively monitored to make sure Jews didn't appear on screen.
You are harboring enemies of the Reich, aren't you?
You just really want to say, what a country we have ended up.
What's really the name of this country?
Oh, Russia! God, please help us all now and forever in this moment of great need.
KVN was a breath of fresh air in the stuffy Soviet communal apartment. But Maslyakov had no part in KVN's rebelliousness. He was just the host. Other people were responsible for the content of the program. And Maslyakov ended up in prison not for political reasons, but for currency fraud. This was a common charge in the Soviet Union for people in the arts, because ordinary citizens could only see foreign currency in Italian comedies. Maslyakov's criminal story is shrouded in mystery. He was sentenced to 8 years, but was released much earlier and returned to television. Maslyakov himself completely denies ever having done time. He says he even has an official document to prove it.
Is it truly accurate that you once served time for currency fraud?
Now I have a document, a copy, stating that I have had no problems with the law on the territory of the Russian Federation.
But the fact remains. From 1971 to 1974, Maslyakov literally disappeared. And there are testimonies from people who saw him in correctional facilities. Even the chanson singer Mikhail Kru confirmed this. He stated that Maslyakov was in a Tver colony and was, quote, a petushok there. I think everyone understands what a petushok is in prison.
Welcome to our truly humble abode.
Because of Krug's revelation, a theory even emerged that it was Maslyakov who ordered the singer's murder.
Well, that has become very soon.
If Maslyakov served time in a Soviet prison and was unexpectedly released, although early parole was rarely practiced in the USSR then, it can be assumed that Alexander Vasilyevich demonstrated loyalty and commitment to the regime. That's why the case was quickly hushed up, his criminal record was erased, and the compliant Maslyakov was returned to the fold of propaganda.
KVN and QM granted together forever and ever.
In 1986, Maslyakov revived KVN and then claimed it for himself by creating the company Amig. During the perestroika and the free-spirited 90s, KVN wasn't afraid to joke about the authorities and the flaws of society either.
I'll tell you something really quite smart, but please, just don't get offended.
All right.
Never, ever joke about the president, because tomorrow any one of us could potentially end up in his place. You fully understand?
But with Putin's arrival, Maslyakov quickly switched into servant mode. KVN, like all Russian television, became part of aggressive hate propaganda. And since KVN is an international club, that hatred was spread to all peoples.
Angels, hello. What are you doing here in Svetlogorsk?
I'm an elderly woman with money. Where else would I vacation?
Well, it's just a little bit chilly in Svetlogorsk.
Well, it's gonna get a bit chilly in Europe soon, too. We will certainly have to get used to it somehow, won't we?
Wait, Angels, just how are you gonna get home?
There are so many cars with to Berlin written on them. Hop into any of them and off I go!
KVN has become an instrument of Russian aggressive geopolitics. Starting in the 2000s, teams like Nati from Abkhazia and Plus 16 from South Ossetia performed there. And these teams represented not Georgia, but some so-called independent republics that no one recognizes. In 2014, teams from the DPR and LPR appeared in KVN.
Well, Donetsk is just on stage. Don't judge us too harshly by our clothes. It's just that Western brands left us a little earlier.
You have to admit, after this, it's hard to consider KVN apolitical. It's just your typical pro-Kremlin garbage dump. Moreover, in the club of the cheerful and resourceful, Maslyakov openly promoted the idea of Russian chauvinism and the superiority of Russians over other nationalities. KVN always accepted teams from the former USSR. But there was a nuance that, over the years, became the foundation of the game. Teams from outside Russia were assigned to the role of amusing provincials or younger brothers seeking Moscow's approval.
What are you? Are Asians? No one here can tell you apart. You need to introduce yourselves more accessibly, more Europeanly.
Well, then we Kyrgyz are like the Greeks. We have a very rich history.
But a poor economy. Get back in your place. Do you even realize what you're saying from this stage? This is a very serious game. Just remember, when we left Bishkek, half the country came to see us off.
And the other half?
The other half was already here in Moscow to welcome us.
Maslyakov gladly, and even with a kind of ferocity, made hundreds of millions by serving the criminal Kremlin regime. KVN stayed silent about the repressions, stayed silent about the aggressive wars started by Moscow, or even worse, supported them. Friends, the holiday season is about to start, and an army of tourists is expected in Crimea.
Not tourists, the army's already there.
Maslyakov created a truly giant system for turning young Russian youth into zombie pioneers, for whom war is peace, freedom is slavery, and killing is just a joke. This system was designed to indoctrinate them.
We are delighted to present to your esteemed attention a truly captivating and unforgettable performance by the renowned Kaliningrad Musical Defensive Dance Tactical Ensemble, affectionately known as Iskandarushka.
Maslyakov's KVN had another significant function to effectively suck up to the Führer.
God be with us. Guys, can I just sign one document? Here we go. Why are you all dressed up?
It's Putin's anniversary.
Yes. Come in.
Stop this outrage.
Gentlemen, hello, people. What are you doing? Hello, people. Come on, guys. Calm down, gentlemen. Come in.
KVN addressed Putin so often that they created an entirely new genre on Russian television.
Hello, Vladimir Vladimirovich, this is Dorokov calling you. What did you say? You recognize me, but I'll be rich anyway. All right, brother, all right. Vladimir Vladimirovich, the reason I'm calling is, could you make the medication for schizophrenia a bit cheaper?
Under Putin, Maslyakov completely sterilized KVN. He castrated it.
You know, the whole genre of authors who write humorous and insightful sketches about various presidents has completely disappeared.
All political and critical jokes were either significantly cut or carefully edited so that they absolutely wouldn't harm the pristine image of the radiant Carlito, who was seen as a beacon of hope.
I'd like to immediately hand the floor over to my esteemed colleague very much now. So to speak, the esteemed prime President of our great country, you know.
The main rule of KVN is not a word about internal problems and practically nothing about the war with Ukraine. And if you do touch on the topic of war, then only as something fun and carefree.
The contestants on the show Field of Miracles haven't been able to guess the word for 2 hours now. I feel like if I were to win now, I'll actually truly lose. Vyacheslav, it's your turn now, please. Slava, indeed. The modern KVN, which was created by Maslyakov, is nothing but pure propaganda. It truly has absolutely nothing to do with genuine humor.
Goodbye, America. Yay, my dear old friend.
Just a lonely slipper.
Maslyakov was just as much a propagandist as Solovyov, Kizelyov, Simonian, and Skabiva. Like them, he made his fortune on spreading hatred and aggression. Maslyakov is just as guilty for the attack on Ukraine as the rest of them. That's why I have no doubt that Maslyakov's first words after death will be, "We are starting to burn in hell."
I would like to remind you that this video is created for entertainment purposes and contains elements of satire and irony. All facts and events are presented in a hyperbolized or exaggerated form to convey a comedic or dramatic effect. Our goal is not to mislead, but to highlight humor. Please take it with a smile.